Welcome to the family of Neen. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share the video.
Part 5. A member of the opposition party said we demand for transparency and accountability, such as the disclosure of who you are. They said you are an intersex. For those of you who are not as learned as him, I will explain. An intersex is genderless. He is both man and woman. What has Snell got to say about that? Everybody went cold and waited for an explanation. Although they were surprised to hear that, but the animals didn't want to be distracted by it. His party members tried to help him maintain his stability by rejecting any form of explanation and said that they were here for a different purpose. Pig was not a member of any party. He was a backbencher. He was not at the meeting from the beginning. He arrived late after he had been in the mud rolling around to stop himself from overheating. He came in and began to talk about yesterday's rain, how it was a blessing in disguise because of the muds it created. The animals wondered what had overcome him. The weather had been very hot of recent. Has it affected his mental state? They looked at each other and said, who knows? They asked him to please explain what he meant by that, as he was not following the events at the meeting. We are discussing politics and you are talking about mud. He stood up and made an oink sound and said, without rain, how can we get mud to play with? I want to air my opinion. The animals looked at him and one of them asked, when did you arrive? He was sure he was not at the meeting, and even if he were, he was not paying attention. Pig cleared his throat. I arrived a few minutes ago and I heard a member of the opposition party demand for transparency and accountability. I wanted to add my voice. The animals were quick to tell him to sit down and don't disturb the meeting. He insisted, I must add my voice. The Freedom Fighter Party members laughed at him. Pig was never taken seriously in any meeting. He was a backbencher. Allow him to speak, said the Snail. Nothing is new, Pig continued. Yes, I am in support of my good friend who is demanding for transparency and accountability. He sat down. The animals knew that Pig was an attention seeker. He had nothing to say. Snail smiled. I know where you are coming from. You have been wallowing in the mud, haven't you? The animals laughed. Pig responded with all honesty. Yes, it is called the mud spa. I went there to cool off and protect my body from the overheating. Secondly, to stop the insects from feasting on my skin. They asked him, is there any reason why you went there? He replied, due to the recent hot spell, I went there to help my mental state. Another member of the opposition party shouted, sit down if you have nothing to say. Why don't you go to the river and bath instead of wallowing in the so-called mud spa? You dirty pig. You're not the only one who wants to help your mental health. We also do want to help our mental health. The animals laughed uncontrollably. Another party member tried to pull his leg by saying, I heard you have an unlimited sex drive. What do you have to say about that? We also demand for the transparency and accountability in your case. I hope I'm speaking the minds of my fellow animals. He sat down. The animals cheered him and shouted, yeah. We demand for an explanation. Pig was embarrassed. He was not a troublemaker and does not want to display any aggression. He sat down and regretted attending this meeting. I should have stayed at home, he whispered to himself. The animals were worried about his state of confusion. Snell's party does not want to talk about personal issues. They maintain that their policies are the best for the animals. Snell was a little embarrassed by that. He felt that his rights had been trampled on. He took a deep breath to regain his composure. He shook it off and got up. Fellow animals, he said, I'm not ashamed of who I am. I was born an intersex. Do you have any problem with that? The animals shouted. No, we do not have a problem with that. Ride on. He felt a sense of strength and smiled. I thanked you all for your audience and your custom. He sat down and they clapped for him.